I was thinking if like these couches are so comfortable, so Vidya and I both love to sit.
Yeah, should we?
I mean, I'm happy to do it. You, how will you manage?
I can.
Guys, we also have Srijit Mukherjee in the house. Hello everyone and welcome to FC Unfiltered. And before anything else, I just want us to start with a round of applause for Vidya Balan.
Oh,
because she's an amazing actor, and also because she's played a pivotal role in changing the landscape for women in Hindi cinema. So really, before we start, even applause.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
So Vidya, I'm going to start with a quote by Marlon Brando, who said, at most, an actor is a poet, and at the least, an entertainer.
I hadn't heard this before, but nice one.
It's a great one.
Yeah. I'm not sure I completely agree.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
do you agree, and do you think Hindi cinema offers enough opportunities for actors to be poets?
No, but I don't know why entertainers would be a rung lower than poets or musicians, or, I take great pride in the fact that I'm an entertainer, which is why I said I'm not sure I completely agree. Because it takes a lot to entertain people, to keep people engaged, to keep them engrossed. It's no mean feat. So, when, and you know this, but everyone else will realize that Anu will not be given a chance to say much in this interaction. She says one thing and then I just take off from there. But I really think that, we mitigate the value of entertainment. And everyone wants a good time. Whatever you do in life, you may be a doctor, a surgeon, a policeman, a soldier, or people from films, or a student, or everyone wants to be entertained. So I don't know why he put it there. Is it because a lot of times I think what we don't necessarily or easily understand intimidates us, and we value that more, that being poetry. And with no disrespect, but
So you stick to what you said in the dirty picture.
Absolutely. Entertainment. Or मैं entertainment too. I love that.
That's fabulous. Yeah. That's fabulous. But Vidya, you're part of a showbiz culture where, honestly, at this point now, actors are being rewarded for being stylish.
Yeah.
Now we have an award for the most stylish, where I think I last saw, like, Mr. Bachchan got the most stylish star of the millennium. I don't even know what that means, right? So I'm just thinking then, in this ecosystem, as an actor, how do you hold on to sort of the dedication and the rigor you need to be a great performer?
I think because I can only speak for myself. I comfortably disconnect or separate the character from the person I am. So, there might be expectations of me as Vidya, the actor, the star, whatever, but from the character, you only expect truth. You expect to be true to the character, which will then translate into something real, hopefully, that will connect with people. So that's never a consideration when I'm playing a role. I like to actually use the tools at my disposal, which is my body, my face, my hair, my voice, makeup, hairstyles, costumes, therefore, diction, to really create a new person. Talking about Begum Jaan, Srijit gave me that unibrow, which completely changed my face. It's not because he kept saying, you've experimented with your looks often enough. So what do I do to make you look different and to have a certain, what was the word, ferociousness to
you do have
the
ferociousness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are we talking on screen or off screen? But yeah, so you know, little things I think go a long way. So I never bother about when people say, oh, you've done a no makeup look, oh my god, and I'm like, am I really missing something? Because I didn't think too much of it. I didn't think too much of the fact that I put on weight for the dirty picture. When Milan and I discussed it, and you know, we realized that that was what was required, I went ahead and did it. But then the laurels made me feel like, wah, kya kiya? Kiya bhi to kya kiya?
Tell me, what's a good day at the office like? When you were doing Begum Jaan, could you instinctively tell when you nailed a moment or the character? Can you tell in your bones?
I think you can. I always feel it. I feel like, oh my god, this is it. I was maybe least conscious or most truthful in that moment. But then what I learned in this film, which no other director had told me, is that there are so many variables at play when you're doing a shot. It's not just you, but those variables come together, culminate in what you're doing. You know, but if one of those things does not fall into place also, it might take away. For example, you want a slight breeze to be blowing when you're saying a line. And I've said it, I feel like in my gut, I feel this is it. That breeze hasn't blown, but for his cinematic magic to happen, he needs both to come together at the same time. So that I will leave up to him. Even if I feel that the take that I'm not absolutely happy with, he's okayed, I have to go with, you know, that's the faith you have in a director. So I have to go with what he or she thinks is right.
But you know, when I was watching the trailers of the film, and I don't know how many of you felt like this, but I felt like this character could actually be like the long lost relative of Silk from the dirty picture, you know, from another time.
I thought you'll say Gabbar.
No, because both these women, of course, have this sort of sexual bravado, but there's also a sense of mischief.
Yeah.
There's also a sense of great strength. But this one, Begum Jaan, has a really deep anger, which we didn't see in that character.
Yeah.
What did you tap into to find that anger?
You know, I'll take you back to a conversation I had with Bhatt Saab when we were promoting Hamari Adhuri Kahani. And he asked me, he said, so what is it that you've not done? What is it that you really want to do? And you know, in Bhatt Saab said, what is the one thing that you really want to do? And I said, I want to spew anger.
Why?
Because there's so much anger in me. And I'll go back to a conversation I had with Vinod Chopra, which everyone knows is her better half.
Though he's never been described like that before.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted.
You know, when we were doing Parinita, he watched the entire film and he called me and he said, you've done fabulously well. I've just had to work on one scene because your performance was not up to the mark. And I said, which one? And he said, it's a scene where you're angry with your uncle. And I knew why he said that because I struggled with that scene. I used to find it extremely difficult to express my anger. Cut to this conversation with Bhatt Saab and he said, really, are you an angry person? I said, there's a lot of anger in me. So he said, okay, he, you know, again in true Bhatt Saab style, he was trying to process it. He asked me a few questions and then of course we got waylaid. We started talking about other things. In a few months he came to me with Begum Jaan. And the thing is that I was a fat girl. So I think that brings with it a lot of anger because you're constantly being judged, one as a girl and then as a fat girl. And then you grow up, you become an actor. And then you're being judged that much more, or the judgment is that much more public. And, you know, I joined films or Parinita released when I was 26. So I felt like I had to make up for lost time, because most actresses by that time are ready to do other things in life. And therefore, I felt the need to suppress my natural reactions to most things. I wanted to be liked. I wanted, I thought that maybe my longevity as an actor somewhere depended on my equations with people. So a lot of times I would just bite the bullet and not actually say what I wanted to or do what I wanted to. I had a spate of successes, and then I was going through a time when my films were not working. So, and then suddenly you realize that all that you've done so far, has it really come to naught? Because people are questioning, maybe you are yourself questioning your credibility or your popularity, and all these things matter a lot to all of us, and especially to actors. So I was like, I think all that anger was in me, and I knew that I was ready to face up to it. I knew that I was ready to be Malinga. I love it when he bowls like that.
But you feel like he's smiling. That's the most amazing thing. He has this sort of
even Begum Jaan smiles.
And so it was easy to bring it forward?
It was. It was very easy. As a matter of fact, when Srijit came to me with the film, I watched the Bengali version because he didn't have his script ready yet. He was working on it. And normally I'm a little averse to doing remakes, but I watched the film. So I told him that, I'm not sure I'm open to it, but I'll watch it with an open mind. I watched it and I said, oh my God, I have to do this. And Begum Jaan actually just called out to me. She grabbed me. It was almost like finding my voice in a way.
Really?
Yeah. So when people ask me, how was it? It must have been very difficult for you to abuse. And I say, no, I used to abuse in my head before. Now I do it openly. Yeah.
Srijit talked about psychological workshops, and he said that you would ask a lot of questions. Yeah. What is a psychological workshop? Do we have a mic for him? Can we get him to come in on this? Because I've never heard that term before.
Sorry for butting in this engrossing conversation. Yes, so psychological workshop, as in, so our workshop had two parts. One, the physical bit, which involved moving about with guns, practicing the body language of the women in a particular era, in a particular trade. And the psychological workshop was basically to devise the backstory of Begum Jaan through questioning and counter-questioning. So it was the Begum Jaan which was not there in the script. It was the Begum Jaan at birth, when she was 4, when she was 8, when she was 12. What might have happened, who might have abused her, who might have exploited her, how was her relationship like with her parents, with her lover, with possibly her husband, what happened during the Suhagrat, and how did she get widowed, so that nothing would be inorganic. So when she walked onto the set, she came onto the set as a living history of Begum Jaan, because she was Begum Jaan.
Vidya, he's talking about creating a character. Now, you're not a trained actor.
Yeah.
But do you have any rituals? Do you follow anything where, you listen to a piece of music for a character, or, I don't know, drink the same brand of green tea or rum, or some ritual for the actors in the room? Basically, is there any shortcut to the brilliance of Balan?
Oh, thank you for saying that. But, I don't think I have a process. I think I have probably arrived at a method over time, which is that I bombard my director with questions. Previously, I used to be shy about asking questions. I thought, because I've not done improv workshops where people are, arriving at stuff, or I've not done character development workshops. All these things I've learned over the years through my conversations with people. But therefore, it's important for me. Previously, I used to feel shy, but success gives you that confidence to say, how wrong can I be? And it's okay if it's foolish. But maybe I discovered over time that there was simple questions that I've asked that have actually led to maybe definitive answers for me as an actor. But talking about rum and What else did you say?
Green tea.
I hate green tea, but never mind. And I don't have rum, but I do use a different perfume for every character I play.
Really?
So yeah, I don't know, it's just a quirk. What happens is that it's very sensory, right? So you, I think I immediately, so sometimes when there's a break in shooting and I go back to the shoot, the moment I wear that perfume, I think something happens. It transports me to that world, that something. I try and do the same thing during promotions, because the moment I smell that, I feel, maybe it's just something that I'm made up, but I feel it transports me back to that world.
What are you wearing for Begum Jaan?
I'm actually wearing for Begum Jaan Isi Miyake. It's because it's a very strong perfume. So for Begum Jaan, I needed something that wasn't mild and feminine. Also because we were shooting in Jharkhand, where we were sweating like pigs.
You know, I saw this wonderful masterclass with Meryl Streep, and she talked about how, as actors, she said, as actors, what we do is translate people.
Yeah.
And she said the people who are the most misunderstood are also the most interesting.
Yeah.
Is that right? And would you, as an actor, actively seek out misunderstood characters?
I think misunderstood characters, complicated people are extremely interesting, because then you want to get to know the person. You know, when that person, you can't get that person, then you want to invest more time. And the challenge then is to translate that in a way that intrigues you but you understand.
I had once asked Javier Bardem that, do you have to like the characters you play? Because
I just wanted to ask you, how did you even open your mouth in front of him?
It was hard. It was hard.
How hot is he?
He's very hot.
Yeah.
Let the record
Okay, sorry.
show. He is very hot. But
Begum
he had
Chopra.
played. It was just like, I'm sticking this in. So he played, of course, the psychopathic killer in No Country for Old Men. And I said, do you have to like the characters you play? And he said, no. But I must be able to be a lawyer for them. I must be able to defend them. So do you find that this woman, even if you don't like her, I mean, do you have to like the women you play?
There are points of identification that you find which may not be very obvious, because the situations are very different. But that point of identification is very, very important for me. For example, I remember when I was playing Silk. You know, I think until I played Silk, I was always dismissive of people who had to compromise to get work. I was judgmental. I would be like, you know, I've never had to do it. I've always done it on my own terms. I've never ever gone out for coffee if I didn't want to. No one's ever dared to. And I still say all of that. But I respect the fact that everyone's situation is different, and she had to do it that way. She probably found no other way, and probably she knew no better. She used her body, her sexuality to get ahead. I would never do that. So, you know, my biggest, but she intrigued me, she excited me, she challenged me. For me, that was, I think that was a thrill. To be able to play someone convincingly who I probably didn't empathize with initially. But there must have been some point of identification there, maybe in her sense of rejection. Somewhere I had found that, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to play her.
Vidya, who is your spirit animal?
I used to say elephant. I love elephants.
They're really wise, no?
They're wise, they're warm,
just patient,
they're intelligent.
Yeah, yeah.
They're large, larger than life. I think I'll stick with elephant, though at this point I'm tempted to say tigress.
You're feeling like a tigress right now.
I am. For a while, I think I've been feeling like a tigress. Actually, as an actor, I think I would always describe myself as a tigress on the prowl, because I may be happy with what I've done, but in a few hours I'll get hungry again.
Nice, nice. I pulled out something of the Vinod Chopra, library.
Okay.
And of course, this is you haven't seen this before. We're just going to show a little bit.
I have a sense of what you might show. Is it that test with Saif?
No, it's actually a look test from Parinita.
Doing a Mumtaz.
So I don't know how many of you know this, but this film came to Vidya after, correct me if I'm wrong, 89 ad films, 3 music videos and 12 aborted film projects. She was actually cast in a Malayalam film, but that didn't work out, and then directors down south thought she was jinxed, and just all the films she was sort of verbally confirmed for, all those guys said, no, now we don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you look like this and you do this. It's amazing. Tell me again, Vidya, for the actors in the room, how did you keep the faith? How do you keep going? 12 projects is a lot.
12 is a lot. And, you know, I remember there would be times when I'd feel like, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe it's not going to happen. And I remember I was doing my MA simultaneously because my parents kept saying, you know, if you're South Indians and education matters more than anything else. And they said, you have to have a degree. So I did my BA, of course, which I wanted to. But after that, I went on to do my MA so that I could buy time waiting for that big film offer. And I did the film in Malayalam. And after shooting for like 18 days or something, they just aborted the project. It was shelved. And then all those people who had, like she said, signed me for films, slowly started, you know, started withdrawing from their commitments without even me knowing it. My mom would read a Malayalam magazine and would hear that this film shoot has started, and she'd say, weren't you supposed to do this? And I'd be like, oh my God, yeah. So there were times when I felt like, maybe it's not going to happen, because there were some other instances also. Another film that I did stopped midway in Malayalam. I did a Tamil film from which I got thrown out. I landed up to do another Tamil film which turned out to be a sex comedy I was uncomfortable with doing. And when they described it to me on the phone, I didn't feel it was, you know, it had those double meaning innuendos. So I'd said, okay. I landed up there and I was shocked to find, like, even the gestures and all were like very making me extremely uncomfortable. So I walked out and they sent me a legal notice and stuff. So I really felt like there were times when I remember this one day when I walked from Nariman Point to Bandra in anger. It was scorching. It was, but I didn't even realize where I had gotten, because I was just trying to get rid of that sense of rejection. There was a Sai Baba Mandir close to my house in Chembur, where I'd go night after night, sit there and just cry and sometimes talk aloud because there was no one around, or so I thought. And I'd actually say, you know, why did you dangle the carrot in front of me if it wasn't to be mine? I'd sleep, I'd go to bed thinking, okay, this is not for me. The next morning I'd wake up saying, I'd go to the mirror and say, okay, this is all I want to do. that I think, you know, that was my camera. The mirror was my camera at that point. The mirror was my stage. So I couldn't resist it. There was something in me that I don't know what I would have done if I wasn't an actor. No wonder it worked out for me, because I really, so far I'm quite surprised I said no wonder it worked out for me. I'd always say thankfully it worked out for me, but I think because I didn't think of anything else, it had to work out.
But you never doubted your own talent?
No. I actually, you know, when I did a TV show which most people haven't seen because the channel never got launched. It was called La Bellas. After my first shot for that TV show, and I was a really awkward 15-and-a-half-year-old, but I walked away from, you know, they said cut, and I walked to the monitor, I watched the shot, and I said, wow, here I come, Amitabh Bachchan and Shabana Azmi. Can you believe it?
That is
fabulous. I guess self-love, and you know, as teenagers, you're quite blind to your own.
No, but then that's the takeaway here is you have to keep the faith.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to keep the faith. I remember Vinod Chopra, when he saw this test, there's a part that, did he get it edited for you? Because there's a part that, you know, where I had to look into camera angrily, and I was almost, there was something, I was mumbling because I didn't want to say there were no dialogues. They just said you have to look into camera angrily, and you're like really upset and stuff. And I did the shot. Vinod Chopra actually called me and said, I know you were abusing me because I've been testing you for so long. But it's, you know, and he said, that's what really caught my attention. All this is beautiful, but that's the thing that stood out. I could see something, I could see fire in your eyes. But I'm just an eternal optimist, a hopeless optimist actually. I think that's why I could just hang in there.
Well, with that, I'd like to open it up. So hopeless optimism is a key, guys, for all the actors. Okay, who has a question?
First of all, this is Sarir. My mom is a big fan of you, and even
Thank you.
The way you dress up yourself, your sarees. And okay.
You said your mom is?
Yeah, my mom. And
please say hi to her for me.
Yeah. Hi, mom. So the question here is, when a character is given to you, is it that director's vision, or your own self, or any personalities you come across that motivates you to justify the character?
I think it's a combination of all of these and more. You know, for example, I shot Kahani 2 and Begum Jaan 3 weeks apart from each other. So I was really nervous. I kept telling Srijit, no, give me more time. But he said, we can't afford time because, you know, it'll start raining all over the country and then we won't be able to shoot the film. I think the script, most importantly, inspires, stroke motivates, stroke stimulates, and then my conversations with the writer and most importantly with the director. Sometimes, you know, I read material, reference material, sometimes it's films, sometimes if there is a certain thing, maybe, you know, meet people who have, like for Guru, I had met patients with multiple sclerosis to understand, because, you know, most people I spoke to hadn't even heard of that disease. So for me to understand what is it that those patients actually feel, what happens to them, how does it take an emotional toll, I needed to meet them and understand. So for different films, it's different things, but all of these culminate into me actually understanding the person. Thank you.
I just have a line for you.
Yeah, please.
ऐसी उलझी नजर उनसे हटती
क्या बात है?
नहीं, दांत से रेशमी डोर कटती नहीं, उम्र कब के बरस के सफेद हो गई, कारी बदली जवानी सी झकती नहीं, वल्ला ये धड़कन बढ़ने लगी है, चेहरे की रंगत उड़ने लगी है, डर लगता है इश्क होने में जी, दिल तो बच्चा है जी.
Lovely.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for being you and being so inspiring.
So sweet, thank you.
And I have two questions, very small questions. Does the stage excite you as much as the camera as an actor? And the second question is that has it ever happened to you that you haven't been able to come out of a character and it's affected your personal life and yeah, something like that?
So I think every character leaves a little bit of herself in me. So I do think this question can be best answered by Siddharth or my family. I can't even tell the difference. But as far as the first part of your question goes, and I've forgotten what it is. Stage, sorry. No, I'm petrified of a live audience. So I don't think I'd be able to survive knowing I don't have a retake. Like if a director told me, we're losing light, you just have one take, I'm sure to mess it up. Because I just need to be told that you take your time, you have a retake, and I'm fine. But the moment you tell me there is no retake, I can't do it. So stage to dur ki baat hai. I don't think. Yes, hi.
He needs a mic.
Why does your face look familiar?
Hi.
Yeah.
My question is.
Sorry. Sorry.
Hi. So my question is, have you ever find that you are limited as some limitations as an actor portraying some character, like you're feeling limited?
I do think before every film I get a glimpse of my limitations or into my limitations. So, but I think that's what then a film gives you the opportunity to overcome that. Maybe it's, I don't know whether it's limitation or whether it's a fear of the unknown. But thankfully for me, because I'm doing the kind of work where every time I'm, you know, playing a different character and telling a completely different story, there are some things that scare me, that intimidate me, and then slowly during the process of the film I realize that, okay, I can do this.
Like when you just started your career as an actor, like in the mainstream cinema, like the people, when they forced you or they pressured you into changing yourself, how did you handle that?
I think no one tells you have to be like this, but of course there is, you know, you feel you have to be a certain way to fit in. Like I remember I remember people telling me, you know, Parinita was great, but you played a woman in the film. Now you have to start doing girlier roles. But the fact is I was 26. I was not really a girl in that sense, you know. So I should have been okay with it. But I felt that, oh, if I want to have a career, then I have to try and... But I was born a woman. I was never really a girl. I'm probably reverse aging now. Or so so when I tried desperately to do the girly roles, I failed miserably. You know, the films did well and all that, but if you look at me, I'm like, even if it's playing on TV, when I'm switching channels, I just switch off the TV, I can't bear it. So I think how I dealt with it is I tried to first fit in, obviously, and then when I realized that I was being criticized even for that, I realized I'd rather be true to myself and get criticized than, you know, be unhappy and get criticized.
I have seen your first film, Parinita, Munnabai, VVS and the Silk Road. How did you, is it a strategically planned for the, is it Indian classic style you were wearing, suddenly you chosen silk and it was...
That is Indian classic style. Go to Khajuraho. It doesn't get more classical than that. No. But I know that.
Why? Because it was so steamy actually.
We got the question. You weren't able to see her.
I had just started seeing Siddharth. So probably that was my state of mind.
Oh God.
But yeah, you know, it wasn't a strategy at all. But like I said, invariably, the universe responds to my state of mind with scripts that come to me. So, I've said whatever I had to. I have to also go back home and warn him that I've said this.
You earlier mentioned that a film, it's a culmination of a lot of things that is happening. So when you watch something on the TV or on the big screen, it's just not your work, it's a lot of other things. But when you watch your work, is it you watching your particular work or the whole film as a whole?
So sometimes, I think invariably when you watch a film for the first time, your own film for the first time, you're only watching yourself. Or at least I am. But then there are times when, despite me watching my own film, I'm not watching myself, but I'm watching the film. And that really means that the film's worked for me. I can't say any.
So basically you disconnect from the film and then it's you
yeah,
watching
but
the
that happens when, despite being on screen, despite you watching yourself for the first time, you're just consumed by that story. And this is not a PR exercise, but genuinely that happened with Begum Jaan. And I came out of the theatre and I said this to Srijit. So, and that happened with one other film, no, actually a couple of films. Dirty Picture, Kahani. So, it happens sometimes. Thank you.
Thank you. Vidya,
God.
thank you so much. Big
Sorry.
round of applause.
Thank you.
Big
I love
round
this.
of applause.
And can I tell you, this is the least Anupama and I have laughed.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
because
right.
invariably when we do interviews, we end up laughing so much, but I've had a great time.
For more videos like this, subscribe to Film Companion. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and Snapchat. We're everywhere.